Hello and welcome to Unleashed. I'm your host, Will Bachman, and I'm delighted to be here today with Saurabh Gupta, who is the founder of Binocs.co. Binocs is like short for binoculars, Binocs.co. Saurabh is a former managing partner at KPMG, I'm sorry, managing director at KPMG, and he's built a pretty cool AI-based tool that he's going to give us a demo today. Saurabh, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Will. It's great to be here.
So why don't you go ahead and just first give us like the 50,000 foot overview to understand what the tool is about?
Yeah. So, Will, as you mentioned, I've been a career consultant, and recently I was head of strategy for Verizon. What I realized was a lot of the work that I was doing in strategy could be accelerated through Gen AI. So that led me to building Binocs. At Binocs, we are using Gen AI to accelerate commercial due diligence. So industry analysis and company analysis through Gen AI.
Great. All right. Well, why don't you share your screen and start giving me a demo? And listeners who are listening on audio, I will narrate what I see and we'll also be taking some screenshots. And if you go to the permalink for this episode, which we will include in the show notes, you'll be able to see the screenshots, so you'll be able to see what I'm seeing. All right. So we are now on the home screen. It says welcome. Click on the products below to get started. And I see three different options.
So we'll click on commercial due diligence. That's sort of the core function of this tool. It has four different areas. So the industry analysis, you can do a deep dive into a particular industry. Investment memo is somewhere you can kind of do a deeper analysis of a company, whether a public company or a private company. Typically, we are supporting private equity clients, so it's very helpful for private company analysis as well. Third is growth strategy. So essentially, this is a where to play, how to win type of report. And you can put in the name of a company and you can do a where to play, how to win. You get a where to play, how to win report. And the final is a bit of a valuation analysis of a particular company. It kind of does financial analysis and gets you to a valuation. Today, we are going to focus just on industry analysis and investment memo.
All right.
So an industry analysis is something quite simple. We do a lot of that, as consultants. So here, you just got to describe the industry. If you have certain focus area, you can provide the focus area. At Binocs, you can run different geographies at a country level, but you can also go very granular. So sometimes private equity companies want to focus on certain geographies, certain states. So here geographies can go down at a state level and you can build, analysis at a state level also. You can build analysis at a regional level, but of course, country level analysis can be done. Our tool is being utilized throughout the world, Australia, Poland, France, Japan, etc. We have clients there. So, worldwide, our system is being used to build this out. Once you put in the name of an industry and some focus area, you will get some industry segments that once you accept, you will get some key players that once you accept, you will get to upload documents. In the upload documents, if you have done any primary research, you can upload the primary research. If you haven't done anything, then you can just skip that, and that would lead to an industry analysis report.
Before we jump to that, let's go back to the last screen there. And so I can narrate to listeners what I'm seeing there. Just pick a geography so I can see the stuff that's below that part. Brazil, there we go, sure. So I'm seeing this is to start the industry analysis. Just to recap, can you just pick an industry, Saurabh, so that pick a geography so that drop down disappears because I can't see what's behind it. Any industry, any country, Australia, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay.
All right, great. Okay, you picked Colorado. Great. So I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with 6. So industry analysis, there's basically 6 inputs that you'll give. And there's a pop-up kind of screen to fill in. There's industry, number 2, geography, number 3, industry segments, number 4, key players, number 5, your project code, and number 6, there's a Gen AI box to describe your focus area and then validate input. So 6 things to enter on this first screen, and then the second screen is upload documents. Okay, I just wanted to give that recap. We'll have a screenshot there so listeners can see what the input looks like. All right, let's go on.
So once you provide that input, you can get to a report that looks something like this. So here, this is a building products distribution report for the geography of the United States. So typically, our report would give a pretty big overview of the industry report, the timelines, what is the industry value proposition, why does it industry exist, market outlook, current outlook, future outlook, so you can get a sense of how the market is going to grow. It will look at all the different industry segments. Now, these would be pre-populated, and you can adjust it if you want it. It will also provide, who are the representative providers, key brands into each of these. One thing to look at here is all of the references that are used to build this are available here. You can also click on that. That will take you to the specific place where this information is coming from. Essentially, our system uses a knowledge base that it builds every time it runs a report. So every time you run a report, it will go out and search the web. It will create, 10,000 sources. In those 10,000 sources, it will run very detailed kind of issue tree questions. And then it will identify the right references that it will use to build this out. Anything that it uses, you can kind of link to it. And if you have uploaded documents, let's say if you uploaded like a SIM or if you uploaded an industry report, that will also be included into the sources.
Okay, great. So question for Saurabh, can we export this and then make this available for listeners so they can see what I'm seeing, this report?
Yeah, you can share this. And in that case, the system, whatever you're seeing in the system will get shared. You can also download it as a PowerPoint. So,
right.
and on the PowerPoint, you can download it as a concise report or as a long report, because overall, this is a pretty long report. But if sometimes you want a shorter report, so you can download it as PowerPoint, slot it into your presentation, so you can do any of that.
All right, well, let's do it all the different ways so we can show, so listeners can go in the show notes, and we'll have a link to get to our permalink page for this, and you'll be able to see what I'm seeing. So both the live web version as well as the PowerPoint long form and PowerPoint short form. And is there like a PDF version of it where you can, if you just want it in PDF?
Yeah, so the PowerPoint can then be downloaded into PDF, or if you kind of click on this is a link. You can open that link, and that link will open up the specific report. You can share it with whoever you want.
Oh, and so you don't need to be have a login.
You don't need to have a login for that. Yes.
All right. So let's go back to that screen just so you'll be able to see this report that I'm looking at, but just to kind of give you a foretaste of it, there's about 12 or 13 different topic areas that I see on the right. Each one has pretty extensive amount of information with nice tables that I'm looking at. So I'll just read off the topic areas. There's an executive summary, an industry overview, industry segments, key industry trends, a customer overview, an industry market size. And as you click on these individual ones, you get like a double click. There's categories within them, how the industry operates, M&A and consolidation trends, competitive landscape, competitor positioning, competitive trends, competitor financial benchmarks, and potential inorganic opportunities. And then inside an appendix, inside each one of those, there's 2 or 3 or 4 subcategories. So this is a long report, detailed report that you're getting. And how long did it take to run, by the way? We jumped right to it, but if you're letting this thing run, how long does that take?
It will take anywhere from 30 minutes to 60 minutes, depending on how granular the report is.
Okay.
Sometimes it needs to find, but yeah, about 60 minutes to run an industry report.
Okay, so pulling together a lot of information and potentially saving you time as you're starting a market assessment, getting some of the sort of desk research taken care of so you can move on to higher value things.
Yeah, and one thing, Will, I would also highlight is that in addition to putting this together, it is doing a lot of cognitive work as well. So for example, for market size, it's not just kind of compiling everything that exists on the market size perspective, all the secondary research that exists, but it's also doing analysis. It's also building market models by itself. You haven't prompted it, but it's kind of doing triangulation. So for example, it says, hey, for building products distribution, what should be the market size of it? So we haven't given it any prompts, but it says, hey, I'm going to go out and look at what is the US value of construction. I'm going to take what is the material share versus labor share. I'm going to assume how much is procured by a professional distributor. I'm going to calculate, I'm going to add a layer on top as to what is the distribution, building product distribution margin. And then that will give me a sense of what is the size of the market. So it will build a market model by itself, and it will build multiple market models so that you can be comfortable with the market size that is available.
Mhm.
So it might also do something like, hey, I'm going to add up all the distributors, I'm going to sum up their revenues, and I'm going to basically, depending on the market fragmentation, scale it up based on the fragmentation of the market, add that uplift factor to get to a market size. So you're right. First, it saves you a lot of desk research to bring all the things together, but then it takes all of the small pieces that exist and kind of creates a higher level answer, triangulation of the market or competitive positioning, for example.
Yeah, it's very nice. And I like the way it walks you through its step-by-step logic. It very much makes me think of someone doing a case interview at a consulting firm. It's making these assumptions for you, and it looks like it's studied very hard for case interviews for McKinsey or Bain or something.
That's
It says,
yeah.
okay, like the bottom roll up, it says, okay, it identifies the top five, it gets the revenue for the top five, and then says apply an uplift factor of 4.5 to 5.6x to top five revenues to capture long tail and adjacent distributors. Not sure what came up with that 4.5 number, but it kind of, you can at least see its logic. It's not just giving you a number out of thin air. It's giving you the logic so you can adjust the assumptions yourself.
Yeah, that is right. And anything that is so you're right. First of all, it has built up that knowledge base. Then it's kind of figuring out how to put the puzzle together. And
Right.
each of the puzzle pieces might be coming from different sources. It is giving you an answer of where the puzzle source is coming from. So first of all, what is the US value of construction? It's getting it from census.gov. What is the material share of total construction cost? Some Daniel's remodeling guy probably put together some triangulation that materials is 30 to 40%. Use that. Then what is the percent of materials that is procured using professional distributors is going out to some distributor, maybe they did some survey, etc. That's how it's getting to that answer. So it is
Yeah.
kind of like putting all of those things together that you would have to manually go out and search for yourself.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's using some logic and reasoning,
Yeah,
coming up with at least answers that you can audit and you could adjust the assumptions if you wanted.
that's right.
All right. So it has all these different areas and it takes about half an hour to an hour. Great.
One
So
of the things that we typically do in industry analysis as consultants, we want to like understand the competitive positioning, which competitors are strong, which are not strong. Typically, we have to rely on primary research that your network does a lot of primary research. But as a starting point, what you can do is you can use whatever exists out there to get a sense of where the competitors are well positioned and where their strengths and weaknesses lie. So our system will go out and do all kinds of social media reviews, G2 reviews, comparative literature, all of that. So it used like 130 references to build out how the competitive positioning is done.
all right, that's pretty cool. Certainly time saving to get at least that work started.
Yeah,
And we
yeah.
have financial benchmarking. So we have all these numbers for these public companies pulled in.
Yeah, we are connected to all the public filings across the world. So, you can do all the public peer benchmarking here. So you can basically the system outlines, identifies the right sort of public competitors. For those public competitors, it will do revenue growth momentum, it will do profitability structure, it will do operating efficiency, capital allocation intensity, all of that to just give a good sense of the financial aspects of this market.
Very nice. And I see it's doing, it has a lot of the stuff in this online version, I guess in the PowerPoint as well. If you wanted to export some of that sort of Excel so you can play around with the numbers, is that a feature yet?
Right now, you cannot download it into Excel, but that's something we're building.
On the roadmap. Okay, on the roadmap.
Yes.
Probably, yeah, that'd be a handy thing to get. Okay.
And then finally, many times our clients are looking to run these kind of industry reports because they want to get exposure to this particular industry. So in the potential inorganic opportunities, you can also identify who could be a potential, inorganic opportunity, why that is the case. And then the value chain kind of like, then we go into appendix where you have all the details around backup around like competitive positioning. Why did we select that particular competitive positioning? Or, one page competitor profiles, so which basically give you a view of who the competitors are, how they operate, what are their customers, segments, channels, recent news, financials. All of that is available at an individual competitor level.
Wow, that's pretty intense. That's a lot of the work that you'd be doing over a 2 or 3 week or market assessment or due diligence. Really. So, okay. And what is the current pricing for one of these reports? How do you sell it? Is it access like unlimited per month, or is it per report, or how do you currently price it?
Some of our clients are using these reports extensively. They want us to have unlimited access. So the unlimited access you can get for something like a $2,500 for industry analysis and company analysis, which I haven't shown yet. Or you can buy individual industry reports for $500 each. You can buy credits and then use that to build the industry report. Of course, we will provide Umbrex discounts on top as well.
Okay, great. Okay, Penda, and if people want to sign up, is there now a direct to consumer offering? Can people go right to your website and sign up, or how does the sign up process work?
Yeah. So you can go directly and sign up, and you can purchase credits using credit cards,
All
and
right.
and then that will help you just buy credits, run the analysis, company analysis, etc., and then industry analysis. But yeah, whenever you run out of credit, you can just buy some more.
All right. So we talked about the industry analysis. Why don't you show us I think you said there's a company profile for,
Yes.
let's take a look at that.
Yeah, so company profile is a separate section which we call kind of the investment memo section. Uh,
Okay.
so in this investment memo section, you can run, let's say, a company analysis. You can upload, let's say, if you are working on a commercial due diligence deal, you can upload a SIM and it will do financial analysis there. So all of that stuff can be done. So right now, this is a private company. I don't have any data for it. I just know the website for it. So I ran a report. So this is kind of a report that you can get if you just put in the name of a company and their website. So let me just skip the exec summary section and just go directly into the report. So here, on the report side, we can give an overview of what the company does, what their geographical footprint looks like. Seems like very little geographical footprint, where they exist. What do they do in each of the footprint areas? What have they done recently? What are their products and services? You can kind of get a good understanding of their products and services. What are their distribution channels? How is their revenue split across the distribution channels? Who are their customers? Who are their largest customers? And also, it will give you a sense of, where do they not exist? Where do they have moderate presence? That will give you some white space opportunity as well. What is their key purchasing criteria? So how do customers buy their product? What buyers are asking? What is the implication for the company? So you can get a sense of what the key purchasing criteria is. Then what the system does, it identifies which industry does the company operate in. And then for that industry, it will do all the industry analysis that you have seen already. So I'm going to skip through the industry analysis because you have already seen it, and go into something that we haven't seen, which is, let's say, a financial benchmark. If the company had some financials, if you had uploaded its financial statement or SIM or any annual reports or whatever, it would have shown its financials and compared it to the public benchmark. But we didn't have that here because it's a private company, so that is not available. But then something like future growth strategy, you can understand. And essentially, the way that it builds it is you have already done situational analysis. You have done the industry analysis, so you understand what the key industry trends are. You have done company analysis, so you understand what sectors is the company exposed to. Here is the competitive positioning, so you can kind of understand what the strength of the company is versus everybody else. So you kind of have done the situational analysis. Once you have done the situational analysis, now the system actually goes out and says, hey, where to play and how to win, and really builds out a organic growth strategy, as well as, so what is the key insight and what should be the action plan to achieve this particular inorganic organic growth strategy. So it can highlight some of the organic growth strategy as well, and then it can also highlight inorganic growth strategy. So it understands what are the themes that this company needs to acquire on, that this company needs to grow on its strength, or areas where it needs to strengthen its offering. So what is the theme that it should look for, why should it look for that, and who are the potential targets? So in that way you can get an understanding of what the inorganic opportunities might look like, and then it will give you a rationale of why these particular opportunities are the right fit. So it will kind of give you growth strategy as well as overall investment implications, as well as risks and diligence area. Now, all of this would be enhanced a lot if you actually have SIM. If you actually had SIM, you can kind of upload that. You can upload management transcripts. So here, for example, if you regenerate investment memo, it will ask you to say, hey, upload files. In this upload files, you can upload financial statements, SIMs, expert interview notes, management transcripts, all of that. And if you upload that, all of that will get included in the investment memo, and that will then show up in the final report. So this is a company deep dive that we have here.
Amazing. Okay, great. And it would be great if we could give that sample as well, or a sample investment memo for listeners to check out. So, okay. And is that the same pricing at $500 per company memo, investment memo?
Yeah, so for this one, it's $1,000 because it needs to run multiple industry reports and the company analysis. So just the AI usage here is a lot more. So this one is a bit higher. It's about $1,000 per report.
Okay, because you're getting the industry report and the company memo, basically.
And sometimes what happens is the company operates across different sectors, so you get multiple industry analysis in there.
All right, great. In terms of proprietary data sources, like ones that your firm pays for,
Yep.
tell me about that. Is it just, not just, but is it primarily relying on the open web, things that a human could go and just find online, or do you have any kind of proprietary data feeds?
Yeah, so most of these proprietary data feeds do not allow you to kind of resell the data. So even if we actually had that, we wouldn't be allowed to kind of share that with you. But at the same time, if you have some of these subscriptions, we can connect it to the subscription, and then all of that becomes part of the data sources that go inside this report.
Okay.
So if you have broker analysis, for example, you can just upload that. There's a simple way is to just upload it and get it included in the system. But if you actually have a subscription and you want this system to kind of continuously work with your subscription, then we can also establish that connection. That is pretty easy these days with the MCP structure in the AI space.
Okay. So you can connect it to data sources if necessary. You can export it to PowerPoint, and then you could save that to a PDF.
Yeah, that's right. And sometimes I didn't show you this particular functionality, but sometimes, even if you have a particular report, you may have questions that are not answered yet. So we also have a chat bot here, and the chat bot basically can answer any other questions that were missed out here. And you can select the best sort of like chatbot here, and it could say, hey, what is the recession impact, for example. You can write that, or you can say, hey, I am doing an expert interview right now, so I would like you to build me an interview guide. Or you can say, hey, I need to build a proposal because I am pitching on this particular industry, and it will build you a proposal also. So this chatbot that is there can actually run all of those things, and then you can either add it to the report or you just use the answer into whatever your use case is.
All right, great. And then just tell us about your current state of your user base. Like how many firms are using your tool? What kind of clients are using your tool so far? I know you're just getting started.
Yeah, it's been about a year that we have been focused on this. So at this point, we have couple of dozens clients at this point. Those range from consulting clients who use our system to sort of get started on a particular area. They may be pitching on particular industry sector or trying to understand a particular company. So they will subscribe to our system and get some outputs here that will get them up to speed very quickly. So the consulting companies are one base of our clients. Then private equity companies are using us for a bit of just pre-LOI research, and also some of the PE companies are working with us as they work through the deal process. So they first get a teaser, they can put that teaser in our system, get a high level view of the report. Then they get a SIM, so they can put the SIM in. Then they actually try to put in an LOI or whatever. So once they have the LOI, they have more data, so they can put more data from the data room into our system. They can do management interviews. They can put management transcripts into our system, and our report keeps on evolving as more data comes into the. So private equity is using us in that way. One other approach that private equity is using us for is the growth strategy. So essentially, on the growth strategy side, these private equity companies have smaller portfolio companies. These smaller portfolio companies cannot necessarily engage, large consulting companies to do the growth strategy because they just cannot afford it. So our system is allowing them to do growth strategy for smaller portfolio companies as well. It is much more, cost effective to do that utilizing AI. So those are two of our primary customer base, but we do have some investment banks that are doing industry analysis or deal origination, identifying which companies might be in the market to sell. So there are some investment banks that are working with us as well, and then some corporates also working with us for specific use cases around industry analysis or company research.
Amazing. All right. Saurabh, thank you so much for showing us the tool. Pretty cool. Definitely for consultants that are doing any kind of market assessment or strategy or diligence work. If you're not using a tool like this, you're going to get left behind. Whether you're using Binocs or a comparable tool, this is like, this take 2-3 weeks for a full team to pull this kind of stuff together, and it's pretty amazing. So thank you for sharing with us. We'll include a link in the show notes to that permalink page where we'll have the ability to download and take a look at these reports. And if you want to sign up with binocs.co to get your own account and test it out. So, Saurabh, thank you so much for joining.
Well, thanks so much for having me on the show, and appreciate your questions. Really hope that I can help your network of folks here. Any way I can help, just feel free to reach out.